My name is KASIRY Stephen, a history teacher. I'm going to take you through history of Southern Africa, and this history is going to be divided in two different parts. I'm going to start with the part 1. That part will cater for all the learners of O level. It is not only for senior 2, but Form 3s will still benefit from it. Form 4s will benefit from it. Yes. So the history of Southern Africa we are talking about today deals with the migration and the settlement of various groups of people from different parts of the world into Southern Africa. Okay. So the different groups of people that migrated and settled in Southern Africa, we have the Bushmen. The Bushmen are also known as the Sani. Okay, they are also known as the Ra. They are also known as the Twa, and sometimes they are known as the Hunters. Then the second group, we have that of the Khoikhoi, who are also known as the Hottentots, and sometimes they are known as the Herders because they were carrying out herding. Then we have the Bantu of Southern Africa. These Bantu are different from those of East Africa. We shall look at them in details when we reach there. So we are going to start with the first group of the Bushmen as our first group of people to migrate and settle in Southern Africa, and we are going to have a guiding question there saying who were the Bushmen / the Sani. Okay. And as you know, when you are answering history, we give an introduction. An introduction carries 1 mark. We define the keyword of the question. We give several alternatives like 4. Okay, the 4 are marked, and you get 1 mark for the introduction. Okay, and with that question, still we are not supposed to give a block statement, because the question is who were the Sani. Don't just say the Sani were the first people and you stop there. We give several alternatives. Okay, if you have more than 10, you give, like how we are going to do it here. So the Sani were the earliest occupants or inhabitants of South Africa. They were the first people to settle there, and they belonged to the Bushmanoid family or Khoisan race. Bushmanoid meaning people who settled in the bush. Okay, then their origin is not clear to the historians. It is still debatable. It is uncertain, meaning that we don't know where they came from. Okay, we just assume. Okay, we just assume. That is the historical statement which is allowed. Origin not clear, origin uncertain, origin debatable. However, historians agree or claim that those people might have come from Central Africa. Okay, Central Africa, while others believe that East Africa was their home. Okay, and they are believed to have come from areas around Tanganyika. That is believed by the rock paintings, okay, and the stone tools found in East Africa, which are found also in Southern Africa many years back. These people, talking about their structure, they were yellow and brown skinned people. Okay, they were semi-nomadic. They could stay in one place for some time and then move away looking for food and other resources like water. Nomadic, they were nomadic, not nomadic pastoralists. Nomadic, they were moving without cattle. Okay, nomadic pastoralism, it is moving with the cattle. So these ones were not cattle keepers, and so they were not moving with cattle. Then they were slightly taller, they were slightly shorter than the Khoikhoi. These people were short. That is what you have to know. They were shorter than the Khoikhoi. And they spoke a language with a clicking sound. Okay, very soft clicking sound. And they lived in smaller groups. That is one thing you have to know. Another thing you have to know. They lived in smaller groups ranging between 10 to 30 people or 40 to 50. And those groups, small groups of the Sani, were known as bands. Okay? Bands, as in B-A-N-D. They also lived in caves. They used to reside. To live, to reside is to live. They lived in caves, okay, on top of trees and under big trees, okay. So they were not having permanent homes. So that is where they used to live. They had limited knowledge, and their counting ended at 8. Okay, they had a limited vocabulary. One word could not have many other words to mean that same word. That is the limited vocabulary we are talking about. Then they used to marry at an early age. Okay, we have an example of a girl of 8 years could be given a boy of around 12 to 14 years. Okay, then they were given different names by different people. For example, the Kosa called them the Twa. Kosa a Bantu. It is a tribe among the Bantu. So those Kosa called them the Twa. Then the Kosa tribes, okay, called them the Ra. Okay, these people were generally peaceful, but turned out to be violent or dangerous when provoked or attacked. Okay, their social structure was non-tribal because they had no paramount leader. Okay, they were not having leaders. Okay, but they were using elders to aid them. Okay, families within a clan would speak a common language. They kept on the dogs. Okay, because hunting was their main occupation. Dogs for hunting. The Bushmen did not do farming and did not keep cattle. Okay, and the land was communally owned among them. Okay, so the social life of the Sani, okay, was political, social, and economic. The way of life of the Bushmen was social, political, and economic. That is our conclusion. Remember, we have to give a conclusion. If that is on part B, that is where we give a conclusion. The conclusion is given on part B of the question, not on part A. And it carries 1 mark. So the next subheading we are going to talk about is to do with the reasons why the Bushmen or the Sani migrated from their cradleland into South Africa. Okay, we have an introduction there. They were the first occupants in South Africa. We have already talked about that. They belong to the Bushmanoid family. Migration in Ontikiria, that forms the introduction. Okay, yeah, because that is normal on part A. If you give that, the 3 will be marked and you get 1 mark. But in the third point of the migration in Ontikiria sometimes is treated as a point. Okay, so you give it when you are giving the reasons for the migration of the Sani, Khoikhoi, and even the Bantu. Hope that is clear. Then we go to the body, what the question is, what the question is requiring for reasons for migration. We have population pressure. It is believed that the population in their cradleland had increased. Okay, so they were looking for areas that were sparsely populated with no people. Then the harsh climate in their homeland forced them to look for new areas of settlement. Group influence. Remember, when we talk about group influence, it is the same as bandwagon. It is the same as love for adventure. And it is the same as peer pressure. So when you give all of those points, they will mark 1 and the rest will be marked as a repetition. They all stand to mean the same thing. Okay, so it is all about the desire to know what is beyond your homeland, and it is very common among the youth. So the youth migrated with the desire to know what was beyond their homeland. Then drought was the other in their homeland. We have misunderstandings or internal conflicts forced them to leave to look for peaceful areas of settlement. External conflicts from their neighbors More so, the Bantu attacked them and made their areas insecure. Then we have the desire for wild game. Okay, they were looking for fresh hunting grounds. Okay, in the new lands. That is why they migrated. Then outbreak of diseases in their cradleland. Diseases like sleeping sickness, malaria, and others, okay, forced them to migrate and look for areas that were free from diseases. Then the desire by the Sani, more so the youth, to be independent, made some of them to migrate. The occurrence of famine was there. They had no food. Their nomadic way of life, it was part of their life to move from one place to another. They could not stay in one place for long. So they ended up migrating to South Africa. One thing you have to note about the reasons for migration, learners, we use push factors. Okay, push factors, not pull factors. Push factors are the problems that are in the area. Okay, diseases. Okay, issues like diseases, external conflicts, internal conflicts, famine. Okay, don't say they had the desire to look for this. No. So that is that. Now we are going to look at the migration and the settlement of the Sani. Is our next subtopic. Migration and the settlement, it is the cause. When you talk about the cause, we are tracing how a particular group of people migrated and settled in a particular area. Look at where the group came from, where it passed, and where it settled. Those three aspects are the ones we are interested in. We have a guiding question there. Explain the migration and the settlement of the Sani into South Africa. That one is calling for the cause. Migration and the settlement is the same as the cause. Some people give reasons for migration, but check the words in the question. Migration and settlement. How do they migrate and settle in South Africa? That is what we give. Then we start by defining that group. Okay, in the question we are looking at the migration and the settlement of the Sani. We have already said that they were the first to migrate to South Africa, belong to the Bushmen race of family, origin not clear. However, historians believe that they came from the east and central part of Africa, more so in Tanganyika mainland. Okay, we gave the evidence to that, and those are the rock paintings. Okay, those people love the painting, so they left the paintings on the rocks, and that was used as evidence by the historians to prove that indeed those people might have come from the central or the eastern part of Africa. Then their migration is believed to have followed that of the early man called Australopithecus. Okay, then their migration was slow and gradual. Okay, and it spread over a longer period of time. Slow and gradual process, moving slowly but gradually. Their migration is not clear. Their migration took place around 1000 AD. They were the first and were followed by the Khoikhoi. Then on reaching South Africa, the Sani are believed to have settled in two places. One of them was Damaraland and another one was Batlapin. Okay, those are the two places, and they are believed to have acted as dispersal areas of settlement. So from there, they spread to several areas in southern Africa. For example, in the provinces, they settled in Orange Free State, Transvaal, the Cape, and others. Then they settled in the regions of Transkei, Griqualand, etc. Some settled around rivers, for example, Vaal, River Fish, River Keshkama, River Kei, River Umtata, Umzimvuba, and others, where they even practiced fishing. Then they settled in the Eastern Cape and the neighboring areas. Some went and settled in the mountainous areas. Okay, for example, Drakensberg Ranges. Okay, Drakensberg Ranges, Lesotho, and the other areas. Then with the coming of the strong groups like the Bantu, the Khoikhoi, and the Dutch, they displaced the Kasani, and they were forced to go and stay in the dry areas of Kalahari Desert and Namibian Desert. Others were spread in the various countries of Southern Africa. For example, countries like Lesotho, Botswana, Angola, Namibia, Swaziland, and others. Then lastly on that, we have the map. Okay, because remember, when we give the migration and settlement, we have to accompany it with a map, and the map comes at the end. It is a sketch. Our map is supposed to be a sketch, and that sketch is supposed to have the key basics of a true map. What are the key basics of a true map? A true map is supposed to have a title. It is supposed to have a flame, which is there. It is supposed to have a compass. It is supposed to have a key. They settled in several areas, but you can decide to indicate only one area of settlement. Okay, like there I indicated River Orange. Even if you put only that, you put SS to indicate some areas of settlement, which will clearly clarify on the key. We talked about mountains. We have noted Mountain Drakensberg, so they settled there. So you can choose to pick the river and say they settled around this river, like River Orange. You can decide to talk about mountains and choose Mountain Drakensberg and clearly indicate. So when they are marking, the map will give you 2 marks. Okay, the heading will take one mark, and then the allocation of areas of settlement will also give you 1 mark, making a total of 2 marks. And when that is not done, the 2 marks for the map will be deducted on the total mark of the question. If the part is carrying 13 marks and you have not drawn the map at the end, you will not get all the 13, but you will get 11. You will lose 2 marks because of the absence of the what? The map. So it is mandatory. You have to make sure that the map is there. So that is that. Next, let us look at the organization stroke way of life of the San. The way of life is the same as the organization, and the organization is the same as the way of life. How those people lived? They were organized socially, economically, and politically, as shown below. We are going to start with the social organization. They lived in smaller groups ranging between 20 to 30 or 40 to 50, and I said those smaller groups, learners, I said, were known as bands. Okay, B-A-N-D. Okay, then the family was the smallest social unit among the Sani. They used to live in caves under big trees and temporary wooden structures. They did not have permanent homes, but used to live there. Then the son married at an early age. A girl of 8 years could get married to a boy of 12 to 14 years. And the boys after marriage would work for the girl's family. The boy after marrying a son girl would go with the girl to the in-laws, okay, and stay there until the birth of the first child. That was the culture. Then polygamy was the order of the day. One man could marry many women. Okay. Then they produced a few children, much as they lived a polygamous life. They produced a few children. Why? Because the many children could be a burden to their nomadic way of life. Okay. It is the reason why they produced a few children. Then the Bushmen practiced endogamous marriages. Endogamous means marriage within the same clan or the same family. Endogamous. They were religious people, and their main god was known as Kageni. Okay, Kageni was the god of the sun. Kageni was not seen, okay, but on earth Kageni was represented by an insect called the praying mantis. Okay, and the praying mantis was taken to be the source of happiness and blessings to the sun. Okay, then they used to dance upon seeing the new and the full moon. Why did they dance? They believed that the new and the full moon had come to take away their challenges, okay, the problems they were having. So that is why they could dance and celebrate upon seeing it. Then they also believed in life after death, okay, life after death, and had much fear for the spirits or the ghosts. Local herbs were also used by the Bushmen to cure minor illnesses, among them. So learners, that is that about the social way of life or the social organization of the Sani. Then let us look at the economic way of life or the economic organization of the Sani. What they used to do to earn a living. The very first thing, the Sani were hunters. They hunted both small and big animals. Okay, and remember, for smaller animals, we said the Sani used poisonous arrows and bows, while for big animals they dug pits where they chased those animals and trapped them from there. They also carried out fishing. Make mention of one river where fishing was carried out from. In South Africa, we have several rivers: River Vaal, River Kei, Umtata, Orange. Give like 2. Then they were food gatherers. Okay, they gathered things like caterpillars, butterflies, white ants, and others. Then they were great artists. They used to paint their surroundings, okay, with pictures of animals and the anthropes. Okay, so that was done for remembering the daily events. Painting was done for remembering their daily events. For example, the day one got married, the day they lost their beloved one, okay, the day maybe they settled in a new place. That was done for that. Land among the Bushmen was communally owned. Communal ownership, it means land owned by the whole community. No individual ownership. Okay, you don't find the plots of land being owned by individuals, but the village owned by the whole community. Then they lived a nomadic way of life, and they could move from one place to another looking for hunting grounds and for food. Then the political organization, they were decentralized. That is the first. They lived a decentralized life. They never had a centralized system of governance, okay, and had no paramount leaders like chiefs. They were led by headmen in each village. The Sani did not have a standing army, but in case of any insecurity, the youth were called upon and were organized to protect the society from the enemies. They also had clans, and each one with a common language. They lived in small political groups of about 20 to 30. They had council meetings, and these were open to all male adults in the society. Okay, the Sani consisted of 3 large groups: the Northern, Central, and Southern Sani. Members of each group were bound together by a common language. Okay, they were bound together, they were brought together by speaking the same language. Disputes within the community, disputes are the problems or conflicts within the community, were settled by the headmen, okay, or the elders. Okay, they were friendly to the neighbors, but only turned violent when attacked. Women had no say in the politics of the Sani. in the society. All the decisions were made by men in the society. And then another one, they were generally peaceful unless provoked, unless one touched on their hunting grounds. That is when they could turn out to be violent. Then in conclusion, they were organized politically, socially, and economically. Okay, so that is that. That is the end of part 1.